According to someone in the chat, Twitch link still wasn't working on the Reddit.
I think it was fixed. Alright guys, welcome into OverTalk Episode 1. My name is Kid Liquid, and we're really excited to be here. We're about to go ahead and introduce everyone in here real quick. So we have Alexandra Invagination Orlando.
Yes. So what should I say? Hello?
How's it going, guys? And so we have Chris Bizzle. That's actually kind of funny. We have Cable Finn.
Hello. How are you?
Rachel Seltzer Querco.
It's true.
And then we have Teresa Gaffney.
Hey, y'all.
And then we have Ryan Draven McNamee. How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Alright, guys.
Doing great.
So, this is the first episode of the podcast. Really testing things out here. Why do we love Overwatch? Why did we want to do this? Anyone want to go first of why they love Overwatch? Why this game grabbed us so hard?
Because it's extremely fun. I tested out just like every other beta, but this one was actually extremely fun to play.
Yeah, I think
So I'm really excited about the game.
Yeah, and I think the level of excitement is sort of enhanced by the fact that like we haven't gotten a new Blizzard IP in a long time.
Yep.
As much as Overwatch and as much as Hearthstone, as much as like Heroes of the Storm are different games, like it's just not a different universe that we've seen Blizzard do before. And you kind of saw that even before people got to play the game. Even the fact of like seeing the cinematic and seeing kind of gameplay of it was really exciting to people. I mean, like Rachel, from a FPS standpoint, what interests you about this?
I think I saw this neat little pie chart, and I don't know how real it was. I just saw somebody tweet it, but they were talking about the backgrounds of competitive players who were playing Overwatch now, and I think something like 28% came from Team Fortress 2. And I mean, Team Fortress 2, like, I played that game in beta. Like, that was the shit, and it was a class-based shooter, and what that really appealed to me, or why that really appealed to me, was because there were so many different ways you can play and be good. I don't have the mechanical background that a lot of the FPS people who've been playing since like Counter-Strike 1.2 have, but when I was able to play Medic and work strategically with the team and be, 1 in 6 people competitively, I really found that I was able to be a huge asset to the team. And so I was really looking forward to Overwatch because that was like, Team Fortress 2 was the game that I experienced like the most competitive success. Like I really felt like whatever skills I had to my name really shined, and I really feel this way with Overwatch 2. Like whatever style of player you are, as long as you can handle the input, and it's going to be on PlayStation, it's going to be on Xbox, it's going to be on PC. Like I think everyone's going to find something in this game that they're going to be really good at. And so even if they don't end up being a competitive player or a professional player, they're still going to be able to play this game and feel like a master at something, and that's going to create a super loyal fan base. I mean, I think we're getting in now at the ground level. This game's going to be around for years. Knock on wood.
Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case. Yeah, so you mentioned the console thing. Was anyone really surprised that it was coming to consoles?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised, yeah.
I mean,
I was surprised in the sense of like it wasn't okay. They're going to do PC, see how it works, and then announce that they're going to do console. Like they're straight going all three all at once, and I was like, wow. I mean, like they're going, full, with it. And I'm kind of glad because it hits everyone. I mean, because there's a huge debate between FPS on Xbox, between FPS on PS, between FPS on computer. Now it's like, well, here's the game for everyone, and it's like it's for everyone. So it's going to be nice to see the different. Personally, I think it's going to be different strategies per console as well, because it's going to be different gameplay, different styles. So I'm most excited to see how different it's going to be per platform.
Yeah, I mean, like, the really interesting thing is I think this is the first Blizzard game that's actually made sense on a console. Like, you look at Diablo, you look at StarCraft when they tried to put that on
N64.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you look at those games, and those like are clunky and weird to have on consoles because they're made to be a PC game. But when you look at Overwatch, the button input or the amount of buttons needed and all that stuff makes sense for a console. So realistically, it's not terribly surprising that it's console based as well. But to have the, like Ryan said, to have it just kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing console immediately, that was kind of a new thing for Blizzard to do.
Sure.
I mean, it's a bit risky too, because if you're going to launch it on, I'm going to say instead of risky, let's say ambitious, because it is positive, as we're saying. You're launching it on a console and you're launching it on PC, and that's going to mean 2 different servers. I mean, I don't know anything about what the servers will look like, but you're not going to have mixed gameplay, I don't think, because of what Ryan's saying, like different game styles on each platform. So that is ambitious. So.
Yeah,
it's
definitely going to be. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
It's going to be three different servers, or 3 different. Obviously, like PS has to be on a certain server, Xbox has to be on a certain server, and and the computers has to be on a certain server. So that means possibly, assuming if it gets big on the esports side, 3 separate tournaments for one game, and it's like,
oh wow, I didn't process that.
Yeah,
that's
really
that's
interesting. Where does it go with that though? Like, I don't think it can support 3 different tournaments.
It can't be at the same event. From Microsoft can't be at the same event as Sony, obviously, and so it's like Sony has to do their own events, which is going to be kind of cool to see it on its own in that sense. And then Xbox cannot be sharing a title with Sony and so on and so forth. So I'm super stoked to see where it goes. Like, does Xbox stay on its normal having league tournaments and that MLG status and whatnot, and if PS keeps with their just solo tournaments, if that makes sense. So I'm stoked. I'm like, it's possibilities are endless, but like we stated before, it's a risk because if it doesn't take off, then it doesn't take off.
Well, worst comes to worst, one wing works and the other doesn't. We'll see, I guess.
And then we've
But
seen
it's going to be cool.
We've seen companies like Valve kind of like drop their console TF2 support like rather quickly.
Yeah, but it's not about necessarily the game thriving for 10 years on every console. Even if the game's fun for a few years on 2 of the platforms, but it sticks around for 10 years on one of the platforms, that's a solid success, even just sales-wise on Blizzard's behalf. It doesn't have to be longevitous every single rendition.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of excitement here in North America. I mean, Teresa, you're in Korea. And you're in the esports mecca. You're in the gaming mecca. Was there any kind of buzz for this there? I mean, I don't know what
not quite, because it's not out in beta form here yet. There's a lot of anticipation amongst my friends locally because, I've had them over, to check it out, especially during beta weekend. It was a free weekend for most people I knew. So we were like, just stress testing that here. But as you know, there's been a lot of like Counter-Strike clones here in Korea that have like taken off and not really. There's a lot of interest in FPS here, but I don't see one that's like majorly popular at the moment when I go to a PC Bang. So I think there's a little void that's waiting to be filled here, and I think Overwatch may be able to service that because everyone's always looking for the next best thing. So I think it will be eventually, when it's here in beta, it will be a big thing.
Sure. Alex, you're an FPS. You're an FPS sort of. You're a studier of FPS. What do you think of Overwatch so far?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not in the regular beta, so I haven't been playing as much as I've liked to. But I think kind of on the side of where I'm housed at the Games Institute, there's lots of buzz about the characters because we don't have access to the gameplay necessarily. We were excited to see the picture that came out with all the characters and the variety of characters. And one of the first things that I was really excited about is that Symmetra was like actually dark skinned and not like what I called as light as you can get it brown and looking as white as possible, but still like ethnic. And the camera cut off my like air quotes there, but so it's refreshing to see that, because going into it, also a huge TF2 player, I'm like, okay, what's gonna draw me away from TF2? And TF2 has interesting characters that have kind of developed like in a meta narrative outside the gameplay. I think, in many ways, and then kind of bringing the fandom back into the game in later updates. But this is already bringing to the table interesting characters on their own. And, you know, they look cool. They have different personalities, and that's already there from the get-go. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And we have a whole podcast about the characters, so...
Yeah, briefly, I'd like to touch on what you mentioned of like the diversity. I think that's really cool part of the game so far in playing it is like all the characters. It's not so homogeneous. It's very diverse, even racially and culturally. Gender. There's robots, right? Like it's not like it's super heavily focused on any one thing. It's so diverse. Yeah, the maps are already so global that they've introduced at different spots all over the world. I really like that aspect of the game.
Yeah, and going back to the thing about Korea really quickly, Doa is actually in our chat, and he brings up a really good point about the PC bang sort of culture in Korea, and across Asia really, for it not to be free to play. I was actually surprised it wasn't free to play. Anyone else like crazily surprised?
Honestly, I really was expecting free to play.
Yeah,
I was too, but realistically, now that I've like kind of gotten some, not necessarily some reasons, but like now that I've seen it from the non-free to play perspective, and that you have to switch heroes, I am much happier with it not being free to play.
That is true, yeah.
It's nice to get it out of the
second
box.
I like pay to play. I don't like the free to play stuff sometimes.
But the problem is as Doa I think is trying to say, it's going to be really difficult for this to take off because we are living in a free to play world right now. As far as
I mean, it will get pre-installed in PC bang computers, and the way it works in Korea is a little bit different. So eventually, people will adapt. They have to other titles that have been pay. How do people get into any game here that has been out in the past? I guess what he's trying to say is the current culture is free to play, but I still think there will be an adaptation, especially here.
What would they have? They have free access to accounts, so you wouldn't have to have the installer, but you'd have free access to an account at a PC bang only.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to. I don't know how it will work with this, but you could just log on to play StarCraft with a new account nowadays. In the PC bang because it's already installed. Like, I know someone who didn't have StarCraft 2 and he was just playing Brood War, his entire life, still to this day. And he was able to play with us StarCraft 2 at some point. And I asked him, what did you do to get, on this game? He's like, I don't know, I just signed up. So I guess they will have to just make accommodations for Korea in some ways because the culture is very different in terms of playing games and, a lot of people do it at a PC bang. So, and maybe at first you might have to own the title in your register, of Blizzard games, but it will already be pre-installed on like every computer.
Well, I had a thought, and this goes back, like we're kind of getting off topic with Overwatch. So when I used to play World of Warcraft, I used to have a World of Warcraft active account, plus a StarCraft 2 active account, plus a Diablo active account. I was always a fan, or at least supported the idea, because it got tossed around on Reddit, a like $25 a month covers all games. So it'll include a World of Warcraft membership plus all the other games. It gives you complete access to all the games because you can have the microtransactions in the game. I would still be a fan of that, especially since they're coming out, with more, Hearthstone stuff. Obviously, coming out with Overwatch and the new expansions for StarCraft, et cetera. I'd still be a fan of that now, especially now they have 5 games on it and just have a membership, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the way Team Fortress 2 worked in the beginning, I can see Overwatch following a similar path where kind of even Han did this. Like, they came out and you paid money and the big rush of people moved in, and then maybe it slows down to a trickle and not a lot of people are bringing it up. But people in game who really commit start, buying those skins, buying that kind of stuff. Maybe they just, make it free to play after, 1 or 2 years, and it's kind of been out a little while. But what it says to me, at least for competitive, I really came around to the idea of just the one-time purchase because you do not want to have like kind of the situation you have with people who want to get into League of Legends or even people who want to get into Hearthstone right now. Like they're going to get left behind. But when you have just a single package game, a single purchase, you're allowing people to enter in at almost any point.
The one thing I
That's a
was
good
thinking
point.
about is how certain communities react to the kind of slow integration of the paid features. So if you think of what's happening with Payday 2 right now, like the community is not happy about the features they added. Mind you, some of those skins had stat features. It is a PvE game, but they were still kind of up in arms about that. And there's been like kind of a mass exodus from Payday 2 after they've done that.
I mean, there's a lot of really good points. I mean, we'll probably have a different episode on the pay model and sort of what we're looking for in DLC. I mean, it's really interesting to see just kind of... This is a different model than we see Blizzard kind of take with this style of game. We did it with SC2, but SC2... StarCraft 2 had, like, planned expansions, and we don't know what the future is for Overwatch, which is kind of interesting to see.
I'm sure they have a roadmap.
Sure, we just don't know. We just don't know what it
roadmap.
is, right? We just don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
So it's kind of up in the air. And I think people have data mined like different heroes that are sort of in the code. So it's kind of
They've speculated from the posters that have been put out for a while. There's
Yeah.
actually an amazing thread. Somebody put together like a huge image of every piece of Overwatch promotional stuff released and circled all the different heroes, and you can kind of see which ones have evolved into like Soldier 76 or even May. But some of the other ones, like,
you're like,
new
I
heroes
don't
have to be.
yeah. I would highly doubt that they're not sort of pumping this out. I'm highly doubt this is their like number one thing right now. But what the question that I kind of came up with and kind of was asking people earlier was what is the genre of this game? Is it a hero shooter? Is it a MOBA shooter? Is it a class-based shooter? The sort of answer that I came up with, or the answer that we sort of came to an agreement on, is that you have class-based shooters that are sort of like your TF2s and things like that, and then you have MOBAs, right? So we all know what a MOBA is at this point. And so something like Overwatch strays. Does it stray more towards the MOBA shooter or the hero shooter, or sort of the next evolution of the class-based shooter? What do you think, guys?
I think it's a MOBA shooter. I mean, you have very obvious skills, right? It's like QWE. You're missing R, but besides that, it's a MOBA.
Sure. I mean, I would agree with that in general. The only thing that I would say is like, what differentiates that between something like Battleborn or Gigantic, stuff that Microsoft's putting out, or like Paladins even. Is there a clear distinction between those three? And so it's like, is one more hero based? Is one more like I would say this is like the next in my opinion, I think it's the next evolution of like TF2, right? And that's something we keep going back to.
Well, it's kind of stratifying here. Like the reason I would call TF2 a class-based shooter is because everyone has a defined class, but then within those classes you can alter the weapons.
Sure.
So you have your medic class, but one medic could look very different from another. That doesn't happen in Overwatch. Pharah always looks like Pharah. She has the same attacks, whoever's playing her, however you set her up, even different skins. So I would say that this is more of like a hero shooter. But then in MOBAs we lack the items, but now things are like Paladins. You have cards and heroes. There are no weapons. Like it's a crazy world we live in right now. What a time to be alive!
It's very the game is very blended. I think there's like aspects of each, you could say, and I think that's where the game is interesting, but then not particularly innovative. But what Blizzard does is wrap it all up in a nice bow, so you have elements of each of those shooters, in one game.
Yeah, I think that Blizzard polish is something that just sort of sets this game above Paladins and everything else. It's that Blizzard kind of flair that only they can put on it. And so was it confirmed that this kind of came from the ashes of Project Titan? Was that like confirmed, or is that still a rumor?
I think there's elements that were pulled from it, but it's not like a direct. It's not like they took Titan and then brought it into this. They just took pieces. My understanding.
I think there's a problem in, and the chat brought this up too, about like, why do you need a genre at all? Because I think games are so complicated in trying to classify things. So like you have mechanics, you have mechanics, you have genres like traditional literary film genres like horror and stuff. That's like, you know, of that realm. And then you have kind of subcategories of those genres. So like, you know, people used to say action games, but like we don't really use action anymore because basically everything's an action game. So it's so complicated, and I don't think everyone's on the same level as how to talk about these kind of games when you start mixing and matching categories.
And I think that's okay. Again, I think it's the blended game in a sense, and I think that's what Blizzard's going for. And it's okay to kind of like be confused about what exact, you know, genre it is right now.
So, who broke down and actually pre-ordered the game already? Who broke down?
Chris, didn't you do that like the day, like at BlizzCon? Weren't you like
Yeah,
even
so
done with the opening ceremony? You're like, I pre-ordered it.
We were, we're backstage at the Hearthstone stage. I was with Rachel, and we had to be there to work, right? So I couldn't leave the stage, so we had to watch the opening ceremonies from like a screen in the back, and literally
watched it like mirrored.
Yeah, literally as the screen went up, I'm like on my phone, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Pre-ordering Overwatch." Like, this is literally what I'm doing. And then so like like no other site would load. The only thing that I loaded was BattleNet, and I just like pre-ordered Digital Deluxe for PC, and I was like, "Cool, got it." And then I was sitting around later that day, and I guess I hadn't seen what the collector's edition was. I just remembered like, oh, there's a collector's edition, cool, whatever. I kind of like blew it off, and then I remember looking up later like, oh, there's a statue and an art book and all kinds of other cool stuff. I was like, but I already bought it. And I ended up just pre-ordering it for Xbox One. And I was just like, whatever, I'll have a console version and the PC version. There you go.
That's where they get you.
I lost it. It's okay. My height level's too high. But did anyone else do that? Did anyone else like pre-order like
Madness X pre-ordered on my phone during the announcement.
Yeah, Tanzin pre-ordered him like during the opening ceremony. He's sitting in there.
I mean, I pre-ordered it whenever Amazon had a 15% off sale.
That's pretty good.
There you go.
Black Friday.
Anyone else do that yet?
I'm waiting. I know it's not gonna happen now, but I'm waiting on that beta. Like, I would have done it immediately if they would have said you're in the beta. And obviously they're not at that point yet, but it's just kind of like, maybe they'll throw in something later. I hope.
That usually comes later. To be fair,
I know. I can wait.
Usually, like 3 or 4 months before. They've done it with like Legacy of the Void, Heart of the Swarm. They did it with Mrs. Pandaria, like all that stuff. It's just like pre-order now and you get a beta key. Do it now. You got to get those pre-order numbers up, man.
That'll happen soon.
You think? They've been really slow on the rollout. Anyone been surprised on how slow they've been with the rollout on this?
I'm gonna say that's gonna happen probably February. I don't think it's happening anytime before February though.
What's the official release date for the game?
Quarter,
that they've said?
so that's ambiguous.
They've announced by June 1st, I think, is like the latest that they're going.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna hit that around that June mark, and I think about 3 or 4 months before, like you said, and around February, they're gonna start. Actually, probably January, realistically. But I don't think it's gonna be holiday season. They're gonna do it because realistically, who's going to buy that? Because they're not looking for the people who are buying it for other people don't care about the pre-order beta.
The thing I would say that this beta is actually as early as it is. This beta is pretty clean. This is pretty polished.
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree.
Extremely.
Standard Blizzard.
Yeah, like it's really polished considering how far out we are as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I played Hearthstone in I think it was alpha, and it looked this polished. So this is Blizzard. This is standard stuff.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Obviously, there's issues too, but I'm surprised at how well balanced it is for beta. There's problems, but it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
Speaking of balance problems, we did have a patch come out today.
Oh,
I haven't gotten to read the
no
patch
more
notes
escaping.
yet.
So yeah, so I mean, there's really no gigantic. It's mainly bug fixes. The most important one, honestly, is the May wall. Does anyone know like the May Torbjorn sort of interaction that was happening? Anyone aware of that?
Nope.
I
Nothing
think
What
that
up?
I've
you were
seen.
popping one of her walls up
Yeah.
under his turret. It just
You
like
could-
wrecked the turret.
Yeah,
It just-
so like if you popped a Mei wall under one of Torbjorn's turrets, it was like automatically destroyed, like one-shotted.
What?
Yeah. So like it made, in my opinion, it made Torbjorn like completely unplayable because as soon as you set up a turret in somewhere, like you just someone who switched to Mei and just like you're gone, you're done. So that's fixed apparently. I haven't played a game since it's been up, but hopefully Torbjorn is more effective. How
I
quickly?
mean, were that many people taking advantage of that though? Did a lot of people know about that?
When I was trying to test Torbjorn, yeah, like I wasn't able to play Torbjorn because it just like people would switch to Mei and just like make my life a living hell. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. How quickly do you think we're gonna get patches? What is sort of your opinion of Blizzard's sort of balancing act?
Well, Blizzard's good at patching. I mean, we know that they want a balanced game, so you'll get it, but they need more time because there's a limited amount of people in the beta. So it's going to be slower until they allow more people in and more testing, I think. Once they maybe open up another round, they'll probably put more patches out, but that's just me guessing.
Yeah.
Teresa, I'm going to disagree with you. Blizzard and patching is not necessarily the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I'm saying that they like patching, and that's what their idea of fixing a game is putting out
from
incremental
StarCraft,
patches.
they take forever to patch.
Yeah,
also, the
coming from
fastest way to break a
Hearthstone.
game and to figure out the problems with it is to put competitive players in it. So we're just starting to see, I think last week, Fish Sticks and That's Joshy hosted like the first ever sort of beta tournaments, and this week, ESL and a couple other leagues are picking it up and hosting some tournaments. So we're going to find those bug fixes, and we're going to have angry Reddit threads about their effects on tournament outcomes very soon.
I think actually I was watching that
Trial
tournament.
by fire.
I was watching those Joshi tournaments. The Torbjorn bug actually came up then too. There was like a couple of instances where that was a thing.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
No, so glad they fixed that. Glad that's a big
Thank God the
issue.
spectator wasn't working great. So
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that IGN like Fact or Fiction Mythbusters video about Overwatch?
No. What?
It has
No,
a bunch of
I
different.
totally missed that.
I'll link it. I'll link it in Twitch chat too. But if you join the SoCal Overwatch group on Facebook, you would have seen it. But, no, it goes through a bunch of different like interactions between heroes and their abilities. For instance, like Genji can, if you have two Genjis, they can infinitely, as long as the reflect is going, they can infinitely reflect back and forth towards each other. So like they did a projectile and then they just kept hitting it back and forth like ping pong to each other. So there's some
back and
cool
forth
like
forever? Is that what you're saying?
no, as long as the abilities are up. So like
Sorry, I
as
just
long
need
as
to play my
both-
Cards Against Humanity card.
Yes. But they did a lot of cool interactions between different heroes, and I think that people are already starting to experiment with all the little nuances of the abilities and how they interact with the different heroes' abilities. And so the more refined and the more fine-tuned people practice and test these things out, the more that the Blizzard may have to react when things become overpowered or underpowered or figured out. That said, I hope that they don't overdo it because let's take Melee, Smash Brothers Melee as an example. If you patch out all of the cool features, then you lose some of the features, right? Like things that people figured out, the bugs that become features, the bugs that become standard gameplay. Like let's keep some of those in here. Let's not take out everything that you didn't necessarily intend, but may actually be a cool gameplay feature. I'd just like to state that for the record.
Yeah, and I think
It's
that
really hard
Overpatching.
with Melee, I think.
yeah, you
to
can
be
see that
honest.
you can see that too with like fighters. Like Melee's a great example. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a great example. Like you can see those two versus like Brawl and like MVC 3 are just completely different games. And like I think when you're talking about what are the better games, probably Brawl and MVC 3 are the better games. But what's the like just in terms of what a developer would consider a better game, right? But in terms of like popularity and in terms of just what you would like, as Bob Ross would say, Melee is a happy little accident. Like it's not like
But let's not make superfluous gameplay. Let's keep depth of gameplay. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm fine with that. But I will hope that they will they would take a more active approach than they have with Hearthstone and StarCraft, because I personally have not been happy with either of those.
Yeah. Hey man, it took him 10 years to get Starcraft or Brood War perfect.
It's true.
I
And
mean,
that's still being played
it's a
here,
sad,
so.
it's a sad fact, and and then they ruined it with Legacy. But that's another conversation for later.
I mean, I have to say also that I'm glad they're not like overly patching things right now in the beta. That means that they're hard at work at a lot of really cool stuff for this game. And there's,
Yeah.
I'm sure that, again, we talked about roadmap. They've got a lot of cool stuff planned, and we've only seen a sliver. So I'm excited that they're not spending and wasting too much time on patching the game infinitely before it's even, the next
Absolutely,
advanced
and I
stage
think-
of beta.
I think after release is where I'm talking about. I want them to focus right now on making the game. We can deal with balance and stuff like later.
Yeah, exactly.
Another episode.
I think that is another episode. I think that is another episode. So
It is.
let's.
There's a lot of episode topics on the table.
Maps,
maps.
heroes, specific heroes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the
Esports
table.
future.
Yeah, esports
Yeah.
future is
Esports
actually
gonna be
next
good.
week. We're gonna
Can
go
we
ahead
just
and talk
talk
about
about
esports next
D.Va
week.
yet, though? Can we talk about her now, or do we have to? Because
Pretty sure
can we
there's.
seriously talk about like why right now she's like exploded onto the scene and not just
Dude,
because
because
we're
she's
all like
perfectly
esports people?
made. She's perfectly made for like cosplay, and like fan art.
That's not where
Wow,
I
that's
was.
an
What I was
intense
thinking of.
cosplay.
Yeah, that's like not the easiest thing to put together. I don't
I'm
think.
I'm just saying like her design is she looks cool. She's like I don't know,
I
man.
mean, let's be honest. It's esports Pacific Rim. Like that's what we all want. That's the movie that needs to be made,
Gotta go mech.
No.
or an anime or something. It needs to happen.
Gotta go mech.
I just say this. My favorite part of D.Va is the fact that she has sponsor logos all over her
Right?
like mech and suit. Like,
Yes, that actually, but that's why I like the game, because the details are what draw you in. So once I saw like apmtv.kr, I'm like, what the heck is her story? So then I went on a wiki and I read it, and I was like, wow, okay, cool. So she's like a former StarCraft player, and basically she just wants to go mech for life. So she's helping the world.
She went
So
through a
it's
coach
great.
staff.
They debuted her on the WCS portal. They
Yeah.
were like, future announcement, StarCraft Pro, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Oh my god. Overwatch stuff.
that was great. We because they announced her when we were in Burbank for opening week, and so at our hotel, like I remember all of us were eating breakfast, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
They were like, who's D.Va?
Yeah, we were like, "Who's D.Va? Did someone change their name?" And then like we clicked on it, and we're like, "Oh, that's so cool." But yeah, she's pretty great. My love for D.Va cannot be understated. I think I've played hundreds of games, and like 90% of them are D.Va.
Oh my god, I'm gonna paste this to you, and I'll drop it in chat too. Somebody took the Doki Doki poster, like a nice screenshot of it, and I want this poster in my life. It's the sexiest.
The poster that's hanging in Hanamura.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I mean,
someone
it's
get that.
canon that D.Va
Yeah,
has.
I
a ton
want
of fans.
this so bad. I was looking for like this is actually a pretty good grab. Like I was looking for this just to like
No
have.
credit.
I
Credit
wanna
to
make
whoever
that.
Reddit found that. Not me.
Yeah, I would,
Super
dude. I would
cute.
want to make that. Like I would put that in Photoshop and just like draw over that. That'd be great.
Someone needs to make that happen.
Someone needs to do that. I will print them.
Let's send me one.
Well, that's going to be a question, I think, is how much Blizzard is going to capitalize on these characters as far as like
Easily.
merchandise goes.
Ooh.
Easily.
That's
They-
How
a
I
quickly
want
are
the
we going to get
Disneyland ride all the way.
statues and
The
yeah,
Disneyland
Oh, for sure.
Dude, they've gone all in on Tracer so far. Like they've really
Yeah.
rode the Tracer train pretty hard.
Which sucks. It's like going all in on Teemo. Like everyone ends up hating Teemo, and I'm pretty annoyed with any Tracer players. So
really what's that?
There's
She's
as
so
the support, I'm trying to be nice little Mercy. I'm playing pub games. Not everyone likes to play support. I'll help the team out. I'll support, but no one takes care of the effing Tracer. Same when I'm with Bastion. Same when I'm with Reinhardt. Tracer in the back all day.
Yeah.
it's I'm interested to see, like you said before, like with the marketing, when it comes to like we see Tracer all over the place now. I mean, there's so many characters that I could totally see Blizzard in the direction that I see them going, like cross promoting. Like I could totally see like minifigurines in WoW of Overwatch characters and crap like that. And I feel like once this game gets released and they figure out what's more popular, like you said with the Teemo having Teemo hats, I see Tracer goggles in my future. Like I see stuff like that already.
I mean, at BlizzCon, they already had people who were just wearing goggles, and they just kind of made their goggles to look like her goggles. So it's already started.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly, and so it's like, I feel like this could be a completely different topic, and we haven't even, it's not even on the list. But I feel like games can be made to market things, and they can actually probably make more money off the merchandise than the game purchase. So if you make a free-to-play game and then sell goggles for $30, you'll probably sell a crap ton of goggles.
Yeah,
I think that's the general capitalist model. If you're a band touring, you make more money off your merchandise than you actually make off the tour itself. And I think that's definitely part of their plan. And they're going to make a lot of money because they promote the cosplay and they promote the art and embracing it. And I think they're catering to the community with Overwatch is immediate, and that's good for them. And I just in general, to talk about another thing I love about the game, and I'm kind of switching topics, is the community interaction is pretty positive when you play the game. When you're watching an outcome of a match, you're seeing like a play of the game, you're ranking players, and I'm seeing a lot of like good things come out of that conversation as opposed to negative. So that carries over to everything. People get hyped about the game, they want to buy the merchandise, they want to play more. So I think it's all actually one big package and a positive community interaction and stuff like that.
To kind of jump off of that, though, when you talk about the in-game scoring and stuff like that, I'm not sure how much we want to delve into this topic right now, but the in-game scoring for me is really lacking. And I feel like more than that, it kind of has. I don't know how to say this without the word baby, but it's kind of like it feels like we're being babied by Blizzard when it comes to what kills we're getting and what stats we're getting, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you did like 5 kills," and I had like 4% and 2%. I may have gotten a grenade off on like 1. Like, it feels like
it's kind of the same thing. It's the approach they're taking too with heroes, like with with what do they call them in heroes? Their executions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same approach.
I mean, I understand, but like, are we happy with that though? Because right now, I'm not particularly happy with how that's working because I don't know how good I'm doing.
That's something a lot of people are unhappy with. Sorry to cut you off. I think you're not the only one, and I think the game is so early in this beta season that we don't have all access to how it's going to look in the end, and I don't think we even know how games are going to be scored and how you're going to see that work out. There's no way. I just think the simple method of collecting the play of the game, the simple method of having top 4, they haven't programmed in even, and I read the developers like recent interviews about this topic, and I thought it was really interesting that they actually have to program a sequence into that play of the game that it will recognize that it actually happened. So like predict that this heal will happen, a team heal, like say that won't come up as a play of the game, but it actually was the play of the game. So they have to program that in to recognize it. So we're just way too early to see how that's going to come out. And I think in an esports, perspective, we're going to want to see better matchmaking, better scoring, but we're so early in that it's hard to say. And that might be a next week question, but
Yeah, I mean I will say too that play of the game algorithm is probably one of the coolest things I've seen.
Yeah.
Like in a long time.
Well, it's I don't know if this is a beta thing, just like with bugging, but sometimes we'll be playing and like play of the game is nothing, and so it's sometimes it'll be like it's like
sometimes
or if it's a turret off the one dude and it's the turret gets a bunch of kills, but you see the dude in the corner hitting it, like repairing it, whatever. I'm like, no, so the people dying or something, something. So I think they could fix it, but I love it. And I think we could expand more on a different topic, obviously about showing better stats at the end. But like you said, it highlights 4 guys, and it's like, oh yeah, like Draven, could I play Soldier 76 like 99% of the time? It's like, oh, you got 9 kills with the rocket. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, I'm the only guy with the rocket. Like, why are you highlighting me? Like, that's nothing important,
Well,
I would love to see like sat on objective timers or captured time. You know what I mean? Like who was capturing the items the most, or who sat on the targets the most. If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, look at it like this. Okay, so back in like WCS days, like the like San Francisco WCS days, right? When you had Kevin Naki like doing like play of the week and stuff like that. Like for someone to program an automatic script that goes throughout the entire game and pulls at the end of the game and does has some of that production quality, right? That to me is amazing. Yes, you're gonna see some of it that just doesn't look good. Like somebody like, well, that was kind of dumb. But like, I'd say upwards of 70-80% of the time, it's really cool, and I'm like, that's awesome. So
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has, like, it's impressive to see what they've been able to do with that play of the game system. And there've been a lot of really cool plays of the game that I've seen. I've seen a couple duds, but like most of the time they're pretty damn cool.
I like the part where he hits the turret. Right? That's always
That's part. I just laugh when that's a play of the week. King, and then you just see all these kills.
There are already
like,
tons of threads about let's get a POV camera from the turret's point of view on those kind of things. It makes sense, but I would love to see. I'm a data junkie, and I would love to see the comparisons, like what the algorithm puts importance on. Like, is it eliminations? Is it objectives? Is it multi kills? Is it players? Like, I would love to see.
Hey, I've seen a Lucio.
No, I actually have a question. Have any of you seen a Lucio play the game?
I have. I was just about to say I have seen Lucio play the game.
Lie to me, Chris.
No, I have. He literally sped up his entire team to like push to win, and like they were losing that fight.
Yeah,
like did he like shield and then like shoot somebody and then speed up? Like I don't know what I have to do as Lucio to play the game. Like a will be like boot 25%, boot 100 headshot, play the game, and I'll be like, I literally saved that man. Like
it's a hard life.
Resurrected him from the dead.
Behind every carry is a unhonored support. It's the
I'd love to see play the game for Mercy all team res. Like if you res the whole team,
I've seen those too.
Play the game.
They should at least give Lucio the whole time to like have his music going. That's like the one thing I hate about that is like I want to hear the beats like the whole time and it just fades out immediately.
You want it to be DJ Sona?
That'd be really cool.
Want DJ Sona?
DJ Sona, yeah.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
what he is. That's all he is.
That's all he is.
And Overwatch
DJ Sona.
does have a SoundCloud. They have the full files of the song on their SoundCloud. So
yeah. It's actually pretty good music.
I've seen a bunch of people request to put their own iPods so that they can have their own music going as Lucio.
No, that's a horrible idea. Coming from TF2 with mic spam, when that was like the rage, oh god.
You're right,
I was about to ask, how do you deal with licensing? Because I feel like you can't put that.
No, it would just be your only you hear it.
Oh. I feel
Which is silly. I don't know. It's just there's all these people who want it.
Blast it to everybody.
Yeah, you can just play your own music separately.
Oh god.
I feel like we're getting so far into like a theory craft of what Overwatch could be if we just let it mod.
Well, that's what it's gonna be. I mean, that's what it is in beta. Is we're just extrapolating. So.
Well, dude, are they going to? And this is a question. Are they going to? Do we see them doing like custom maps and like opening up the map editor to like have
I don't think so. I would love
like in a couple years
graphics.
Maybe on the PC.
Yeah, well, I'm with Rachel on this. It's probably like a couple years away. If Blizzard's history is any indication, they've always been very highly customizable. Every one of their games, even like Diablo, they like to have custom stuff in there, and that's really cool. They open it up to the community, and they crowdsource, right? They crowdsource things that are cool instead of them having to build everything, which helps them out as well. But this is a little bit more daunting of a task, so I would be with Rachel that I think it's going to be a year or two out from release.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you and say I don't think they're going to have a custom map. And here's why, okay? Or custom map making. Because they're releasing it on all three consoles, right? Like
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, man. You could make your own custom like skate parks, right? It's not that hard. It's just pre-made blocks.
Yeah, what about Halo 4?
You got Halo Forge.
What? What?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, honestly, probably not. Like, maybe
You know what they
League
should
is
do?
dying as a last ditch, but
Because
there's
the
so many
problem with
complex interactions, and those maps are actually set up like geniusly.
Yeah.
I don't know who would do that.
well, the problem with TF2 is that there's always like the spots that people always like, and they get used to it. So what they should do in like a non-serious mode is do randomly generated maps.
That'd be cool.
Mix it up.
Use that Diablo 3 dungeon mechanic.
That's right. Yeah, and that way people are like they have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they don't like. Obviously, it's not going to be like in like ranked or whatever, but do it up.
Like
So
the
on-
There's a
tavern
Broodwar
crawl
map
of
around for a little
Overwatch.
while that had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
Oh, and what on the topic of custom maps, and again, maps is another, scheduled podcast, so make sure people tune in for that. But an idea that I had since StarCraft 2 came out for Wings of Liberty, and I don't mean to bring up StarCraft 2 into this, I would totally pay money for customizable maps that allow me to add logos in the map. So if I have a team, I can put my team logo and splatter all over the map. So if I'm casting like a team match or something, my logo's kind of already like built into the map, if that makes sense. And I would totally pay like $4 a map that will allow me to do that. So I would love to see that. Like, you remember how I want to say it was Counter-Strike? You used to be able to custom make spray images on the wall.
Yeah,
And so I would love to see something like that. Obviously, it has to be like completely moderated, but have like a team logo. So when you take over a spawn, you can put flags up of your team logo or something.
No,
if
I
that
think
makes
that's a
sense.
great idea. It's like Dota implemented that. Dota 2 just implemented that, or not just, but it's been for a while.
Yeah.
I think team and sponsor logo integration into maps. I think that'd be a great feature to build in because they're building it as an esport. They know it's going to be. So whatever esports integration that they can build into it, I think that's a good idea.
Like with the posters and the Hollywood map. Perfect example. There's so many posters of like movie posters. Like we sick to have them customizable to put like whatever team gets sponsored, their posters up on that. Like, that'd be so sick as a random player, as a casual player like myself, to play a map and like look up and see pro teams as posters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, like Cable
Theory
said,
crafting.
I think it's doable because Dota's already doing it. It's just a matter of whether or not it's a priority for Blizzard right now. It might be something in the future for sure. I want to see it because I love when we have like a CSL match and then you have a team logo on the map for Dota, and it just personalizes the game. It's so much better for casting and so much better for team interaction. So hopefully, I mean, aesthetically, this game is off the charts, and there's no reason to not bring it up a notch for the players.
Speaking of aesthetics, someone just brought up in chat that I look like an Overwatch character. What is he talking about? I don't look. If it's Hanzo, that's racist.
Definitely good.
No, I'm definitely not Hanzo.
Take it as a compliment.
Yeah, everyone in that game is beautiful, and I'm
What's the maybe? Never mind. I can't even say it. It's such a racist comment, but I can't even say it.
Did you
Don't
guys
get us
see
off on
the
the wrong
Reddit?
foot. It's the first episode.
It's the first episode.
Yeah.
Ryan's no
Did you see
longer on the
Reddit thread about
broadcast.
the skins where they were saying Zenyatta as the nudist Zenyatta, how he began in Origins. There's a whole nudist subthread of
God.
the skins thing.
Yeah, dude, I was surprised that they're gonna do skins. Like that was a little bit surprising to me too.
I'm not.
I didn't
like,
expect it.
straightforward. That's
Yeah.
the new wave of games now. Everything's skin.
Would you guys pay, for skins? I mean, we all I would call someone a liar if they said they wouldn't pay for skins. What about customizable guns and weapons?
Customizable in terms of like
CS:GO?
How?
like CS:GO stuff or like actual just like cosmetic.
yeah.
Cosmetic.
alternate weapons
100% cosmetic.
or-
It does
Like
not
Dota-
change.
Marketplace.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Dota Marketplace, like cosmetic.
Yes.
I would pay for that depending on what it was.
Competitively, if I can shut it off, if on my end I can say
Yeah.
I want to see everyone looking vanilla, then do whatever the hell you want. But if you make me look at other people's skins, if I don't have an option to shut that off, then you better keep it real classy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I agree. Just because it's when I'm playing against other people and I see another Soldier 76, like I want to see a differential. Because sometimes without the red text, if you don't see the red text, like you don't. We all just look the same, and I would like different colors skins at least from Team A to Team B or something, but not too much because like
I agree
with League
with
of
that.
Legends, like League of Legends, for example, like all the different problems that they have when they implement a new skin, and then they get buggy with that skin. For the example, the Blitzcrank, the Eye Blitzcrank,
Yeah.
you can never see his hand when he comes out of the bush.
Well, that one's banned. There's about 12 or 13 skins that are
Competitively
banned,
right?
that are banned from competitive play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so instead of running to that problem, just never make it an issue. But like you said, like Rachel said, like if you could turn it off where it looks the same on my end, cool. And it's just for you and you see it differently, that's golden. It makes it's interesting. I hope they don't go so left field with it, like with the heroes. Like so all the different heroes of the storm skins are just so left field and weird that it kind of throws off from the original character. You know what I mean? Like one of the Zerg characters has a pajama skin or something like that. I'm like, okay,
Oh, pajama throw. Okay, actually, Rachel, I wanted to ask you. Do you actually think you're gonna be able to turn things off? Because I can't see that happening. I've seen a game that has done it. Correct me if I'm wrong here. 'Cause I mean,
StarCraft 2, I believe, can do that already. You can turn off the enemy
Yeah, you can turn off
skins
the
if you want
skin.
to.
StarCraft 2
I
can do
think
that.
so, yeah.
when was this a thing?
Yeah,
Like
so
over
like
a year ago, when they first implemented, it was after Wings of Liberty. So it was Heart of the Storm, I believe, when they released Heart of the Storm. Because
yeah, when you can change the
Wings
skins.
Wings of Liberty custom was only the collector's edition Thor, right? That was the only collector custom skin.
and
Yeah.
But then in Heroes of the Swarm, Heroes of the
Part
Swarm,
of this one.
they implemented all the custom skins that you could get by in-game unlocks, and there's a button you can do to turn them off.
Yeah.
I never saw that, but-
Because every
Whoops.
unit has like a custom thing. So the problem that a lot of people were having with StarCraft 2 was the Zergling skin.
Yep.
It was kind of hard to tell if they had boost or not, or if they had speed.
Because the extra wings.
The extra
or whatever.
wings, yeah.
Well,
like
back
at
to
a
see how many of them there were.
yeah, at a glance, it's hard to tell.
Yep.
From what I remember.
Well, I mean, let's keep it real. Are we gonna have hats? Right.
yes.
God, no. Please. We're not TF2 boys.
I don't know. There's a lot of TF2 talk on this show so far.
Well, I mean, it's comparing because
Sure.
it's what we have to compare it to what we have.
Yeah.
I'm like, we have TF2. We had Unreal Tournament for a long time, which I feel like this game is more Unreal Tournament than TF2 in my personal opinion.
I think the twitchiness of it is, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's,
throw
it's
in
like it's,
tribes, to be honest, as well.
I was just about to say the tribes as well. It's like
Okay.
there's so many great ideas, and it feels like this on some aspects, feels like this on other aspects, but it does feel unique enough, and it has a Blizzard-esque to it in a weird kind of sense. So I'm stoked for this game. I'm glad I'm in the beta, and I'm playing it often, and I suck terribly at this game, but holy smokes, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, and,
I think arena games does anybody remember Bloodline Champions? I mean, games like that.
Yes.
The Guild Wars 2 PvP was like capture the point. I love games like that, and this is filling that void that I just didn't have in my life.
I'm very glad there's no like straight up deathmatch. I'm very glad there's no straight up deathmatch mode.
Yeah,
Really?
deathmatch would
I would
train people to play this game the wrong way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I
I
think
don't
the way
know,
they
I'd love
set up
to play it
Overwatch
just as
reminds
a
me of the way
side
they set
feature.
up Heroes, where the people who are good at teamwork are going to end up being those best players. You're going to have hot doggers, and you're going to have great snipers. Maybe there's going to be a bigger stratification than there kind of is within Heroes, but I find if you play casual Heroes, the people at the top MMR are the ones who can get along with strangers fastest and best.
Yeah.
And there's definitely like, we always play Team Fortress 2 and we're like, it's Team Fortress! You know, you stress the team. But it's huge in this. Like, I mean, when you're on it, when you're putting that team together and it's like, yo, you need a support and a tank, and you're like, well, I'll pick the support, and then the last person doesn't pick tank, I want to find them and punch them in the face. Like, you're not going to win unless you work together correctly.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't play Overwatch with Rachel. She's gonna go ahead and find
Unless
you
you're
and
gonna
punch you in
go
the face.
tank.
Unless you go tank. So I play D.Va only, so I'm okay. I'm fine.
That's because
See,
D.Va's like that
okay, do
every
you guys
role
all
champion.
have like one hero that you play like 98% of the time?
Yeah.
Or do you really
Oh,
like
that's
that?
actually a good question.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, but yeah, I do. I play D.Va.
You're a
Play-
monster.
No.
Chris.
Soldier 76 all day every day.
Oh, you're a monster. No, he's a
You're
monster.
Ryan.
Oh, I'm
I actually
sorry,
enjoy
don't
playing
know.
Reaper. He's a lot of fun. I like his teleport mechanic and the shadow walk.
Anyone else?
Plus, I like sawed-off shotguns. Those are fun.
I know Alex
play-
probably plays D.Va.
I play D.Va if it's available. If not, I will go to Symmetra because I've been pretty successful with like luring people into my traps, and I don't know, it's just really satisfying to like zap people. So
I play
Mercy a lot because people don't want to play support, and I think Rachel
Yep.
already said that like
Yeah.
45 minutes ago. And
Yep.
make plays for days by just literally pressing one button. And Winston,
Junkrat
I love
Tracer.
Winston.
Junkrat Tracer, and because nobody plays support, Lucio.
are you, Rachel?
God,
What do you got?
the life of a support.
What you got, Rachel? Playing Mercy?
I'll play support.
We did talk
fine.
briefly on it. I don't mean to backtrack, but would you guys be a fan of first to 50 kills or something like that?
I don't think as a competitive mode, no. I think as more of a fun thing, and I think like Rachel was saying, if they released that along with what we have, waypoint and payload, like I think that would just become a dominant game mode, and it would train people the wrong way.
Yeah.
I think not having it is good.
I like the way
Well,
that Star Wars Battlefront has done it right now, and that you can select the different modes.
Yeah.
You can click on there. It's like Walker Assault, Supremacy, Capture the Point. There, you can select that mode. So in Overwatch right now, it just randomly gives you whatever mode they want to give you. But maybe if I go in and on the front screen, all I want to play is escort the payload. I just want to practice that every single game. I should have the option. Or if I just want to practice my marksmanship, then I want to click on Supremacy or
Practice maps are what we're missing. I mean,
Yeah.
in Team Fortress 2, like you had onslaught maps. You had that octagon where you could only be a scout, and you were just like, that's the one thing that like I don't know how our best players are going to be able to practice, because if they have to load into like a full game every time, even if they meet in the middle and fight.
Hey man, if League of Legends can't have a sandbox mode, you guys can handle not having a practice mode.
True. That is some busted stuff right there.
I don't think it's
even
that
know how
hard
they do
though.
that.
You could just have some toggles, right? Like you could have the game creator has some toggles. I think somebody brought up in chat just now, have a mode where you can only have one of each character at a time. This is a whole nother subtopic of what everybody thinks you should be locked down to one character. But hey, if you have 10 people or 12 people who all want to play that way, why not enable them to just have a toggle box that makes it such that game is locked down in that way? It's probably pretty easy.
Or just tutorials,
Easy.
even. Like, the tutorial I found was really lacking. And a lot of it was, like, basic FPS stuff, which is always important. But, like, what about maybe a character tutorial for each of them? Where you're able to, like, learn the moves and then it's just open to whatever you want to do on the map. Maybe?
Yeah, because right now, whenever I play a character, and I've never played them before, I feel like I either have to play them first, or I'm letting my team down. And that really sucks.
But it's beta. I mean, no one should be getting that worked up about it. If you play, if I
You'd be
go into
surprised.
But
No,
it's not.
no,
It's not that I'm worried. It's not that like everybody else is like is saying like that I'm bad. It's that I am worried because I'm a very competitive player of games, right? And if I do badly in a game, I'm not having fun. So if I could have a practice mode or something like that where I can try out new characters and not have to play them whenever or like have to switch a character because there are character hard counters, I'd switch to a hard counter of a character in the middle of a game and like 13 minutes in, and I've played them maybe 3 times. It just sucks. Like I'm just like,
Yeah. I don't know. All right, guys. So we're about to wrap up here. Anyone has final words, final statements? No one?
Overwatch
Same.
esports
Teresa,
is
I
gonna be
think
the
you're
biggest
muted.
thing ever. I can't
Oh,
wait.
You heard it
well,
confirmed
see
on
you
stream.
next week.
Yeah.
That's all I
So
said.
guys, next week the topic is going to be Overwatch's esports potential. So I mean, just a couple things that are on top of my head of what I want to talk about, like kill cams, scoreboard
Tick.
stuff.
we're talking ticks.
Yeah, talking about like payload versus waypoint, like which one is more esports effective. Sort of what Blizzard needs to do the scene. Can the art style of Overwatch really get the sponsors in that shooters couldn't really get in at the time, or that haven't been able to get. All right, guys. So anything else before we go?
We want to just take turns.
Speak now.
See you next
Thank you
week.
for inviting me to be part of the show. I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Peace.
Cool.
See you next week.
Thanks,